Hey, what's up guys, TotallyDubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the BenQ ZOWIE XL2730. Now this is a 27-inch 144Hz display that runs at 2560 x 1440p, so WQHD. Now, in terms of the price of the monitor, it can be found for £450 on Amazon.co.uk and $550 on Amazon USA. For that money, you also get a TN display that runs at 1 milliseconds G to G, at least a quoted response time. It also has a 16:9 aspect ratio. Now, normally I don't mention accessories or things you'd get in a box of a monitor, but in this respect I will. Simply because of one, you've got this BenQ S switch, which is useful in terms of navigating the menus, but isn't something overly special because you do get it with other manufacturers out there, such as AOC. And you've got this monitor cover, which to me was actually really odd to see and have it included, but it's a nice inclusion nevertheless. I think it's one of the most complete accessory packages I've seen on any given monitor, so good job ZOWIE / BenQ for including that. Now, in terms of inputs, you've got a multiple different inputs to choose from. The ones you'd really want to use for 144Hz at 1440p are HDMI 2.0 and DisplayPort, which are the two of the inputs that I included, but you also get a non-2.0 HDMI port. You've also got VGA and you've got DVI. Furthermore, you've got a USB 3.0 hub, which is found on the left-hand side, which gives you an extra 2 USB ports, 3.0 ports. And you've also got a headphone jack and a microphone jack as well, and a small little inclusion of a little headphone stand, which is always useful, and the mechanism is very nice to use. But I do find it a little bit odd to find these little control pods, so to speak, on the left-hand side rather than the right-hand side of the monitor, because most people position their PCs to the right rather than the left. But nevertheless, that is what BenQ have decided to do. Now, in terms of the build quality of the monitor itself, it's fantastic. I have no complaints whatsoever. The stand is very sturdy. It doesn't shake the monitor. The bezels are very thin in terms of their actual width. However, they feel like they've got a depth, which is slightly a shame because the monitor feels like it's got a depth behind the bezels. Therefore, it makes it look like the bezels are actually quite thick. But if you actually look at the thickness of the bezels, you'll see that they're very thin. So it's a give or take there, but it's not a big deal. I think it's not too distracting when it comes to gaming or even just looking at pictures or videos. The stand can be height adjusted, fully 180 pivoted, rotated, and you've got tilt controls as well, so I've got no complaints there. Now, in terms of the on-screen display, also no complaints. I was actually very much impressed with the on-screen display. You've got loads of different options there, and I'm actually going to go through my options because of my color options, which will lead me into my my review of the panel itself. Now, in terms of the OSD, you can use the buttons over here, or you can use the little control wheel to control the OSD. Now, if I go into menu, you'll be able to see the options. So I'm just going to zoom in just a little bit more so you guys can see, and there we go. So I've got blur reduction off, black equalizer off, color vibrance at 10, which is default, low blue light 0, instant mode on, which is useful for your input lag. And then if I go back, you've got your picture setting. Now the picture mode I've got on standard, which is the one I felt was the best out of the bunch when it came to not calibrating it, but in terms of looking at the picture quality. Brightness 85, contrast 50, sharpness 5, gamma on 3, color temperature, I've got R as 97, G as 100, and B as 96. AMA on premium, simply because I hardly noticed the difference between off and premium when it came to ghosting or any overshoot. But the benefits in terms of the actual monitor's response time were very much well felt. So I definitely suggest using it on premium, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit when I launch up Counter-Strike. Dynamic contrast on 0, and reset color, obviously that's something else. A display mode, you can change as well in terms of the aspect of the monitor, which is always useful. The system, you can have the headphone volume. It's got no speakers integrated with the monitor, but you can go and adjust the volume that will come through your headphones. your custom keys that you can, which if you click on them, the first option that will come up, you can customize those. Information about the monitor, and then you've got other settings. You've got actually a buzzer, which is like a click, like a noise that it makes, as you can hear there. I have never heard that in a monitor, but nevertheless, it is included if you so wish. One more thing I should note is that the LED indicator can actually be customized in terms of the intensity of the light. Hopefully you can, well, you can't see that right now, but on the bottom right of your screen, you might be able to see the light, and if you go medium, and then you can go off. So I just left it on on high at the moment. So in terms of the OSD, very much complete, no complaints there. I'm very much impressed with the integration with that little S switch. Makes it very easy to use. So now, what about the panel quality? Well, the panel quality is obviously the most important thing to me, other than its game performance, obviously. But if I just reduce the EV of the camera, so you get a little bit more accurate color reproduction, I felt the color reproduction was accurate. In other words, I had no complaints of the color accuracy that was being displayed. I'm sure color calibrators out there won't have a problem in terms of displaying it, saying, hey, it's a really good color calibrated monitor. However, just like a previous AOC monitor that I'd reviewed, which I've got an AOC Agon AG271QX, or as a 241QX that I'd previously reviewed. That monitor had the exact same sort of type of panel. It might be even using the exact same panel because the specifications are literally identical. But just like the AOC, I've noticed that it has like washed out colors. In that respect, blues aren't dark blue, dark blacks aren't dark blacks, and the whites are decent in all honesty, but they're not super accurate. So in this sort of image, you'll see that there's a lot of color coming out, but in comparison to an IPS or PLS display, you will notice that it's not as how to say, it's not, I don't want to say saturated, but the colors don't pop as much. So you should bear that in mind. Is it acceptable? Yes, absolutely. I find it perfectly acceptable, mainly for the fact that the actual the color accuracy is very good, so the colors aren't all over the place, so the color gamuts and everything like that, you won't have a problem. But in terms of looking at the display, it will look washed out. Like if you go on Facebook or something like that, something you're used to, you will notice that it looks a little bit washed out rather than being a lot more radiant in comparison to an IPS or PLS panel. So overall, it's not bad. Given it's a TN panel, I must say I am impressed. But now, what about its game performance? Now, its gaming performance was just like the AOC yet again. I had no problems in terms of using it. In terms of input lag, it's very, very low. Very impressed with that. In terms of the response time of the monitor, no problems either there. In terms of the overshoot, as I said, very minimal, even on AMA on premium. If you put it on off, you'll notice no sort of like edges appearing on this little wall. My camera probably won't be able to pick that up, but it's very, very small in terms of what it is there. And as I said, as on premium, I would highly suggest using it because you'll have a much more responsive monitor, and therefore you'll have a better experience, which will make you feel that your input lag is less. So obviously the two are not to be confused, but they do very much go hand in hand in terms of the experience you have when using the monitor. So in terms of competitive gaming, I would have absolutely no problem recommending this monitor. In terms of the colors, when it comes to gaming, again, no problems. Obviously, if you're looking at a game with a lot of visuals, like, I don't know, let's say Skyrim, just at the top of my head of a game that might look beautiful with mods and stuff like that on it, you might want to look for an IPS or PLS panel because you don't really need a fully responsive monitor, 1 millisecond G2G monitor, and even then there are still PLS IPS panels out there which are fantastic for their response time. So overall, great monitor, but its price is slightly high. Now when I look at the price online, I must say in comparison to the AOC is cheaper both in a US and a UK, where in the UK the BenQ is 450, AOC is 420, on Amazon USA for $550 versus $490. So in all honesty, if it comes to the buy between the two, I can't see why I would recommend the BenQ ZOWIE. Don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic monitor, but I don't see why I would recommend that over the AOC Agon, which is literally the exact same monitor with the all same bells and whistles, inputs and everything like that. Anyway guys, that is it. It's an honest review for you guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. As I said, the monitor is fantastic, but given its competition, I think it's slightly priced a little bit too high. Make sure you give it a like, comment, subscribe, as it always helps. Favorite and share. Let your friends and family know, and let me know in the comments below what you think of this monitor, if you own it or if you're thinking about it, or whatever it might be. Alright guys, I've been Totally Dubbed. Take care and bye bye.